This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. This meeting was included in a list of meeting dates sent to the Home News Tribune, the Star Ledger, and the Highland Park Planet on January 3rd, 2019, and was posted on the bulletin board of Borough Hall, 221 South Fifth Avenue on January 3rd, 2019, and has remained continuously posted as required by law. Exits are to my left and to my right. If you come up to speak, please speak into the microphone, and assistive listening devices are available. I don't know whether to call you Lieutenant or Sergeant.
He's a sergeant.
Lieutenant. Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bill Mettler.
Here.
Councilman Fine.
here.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin.
Here.
Councilman George.
Here.
Councilman Hale.
Here.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Here.
Councilwoman Wolfowitz.
Here.
Borough Attorney Schmier.
Here.
Borough Administrator Hoover.
Here.
Okay. It is with great honor that I am going to ask Lieutenant Sashow to please step up so that we can issue the oath of office. And I'm going to ask Councilwoman Foster Dublin, who is our liaison to public safety, to join me. Hi, everyone. I, John Satchow,
I, John Satchow,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
Police Lieutenant
Police Lieutenant
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established
established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people.
of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay. Our police department has seen promotions, they've seen retirements, and tonight I am really thrilled to introduce to the community one of our newest officers. I'm going to ask Matthew Buttermark to come forward, please.
And your family. They've been waiting for this too.
Go blue.
See, Grandpa came all the way from Michigan. Just kidding.
Come on. No.
You want a Bible?
Where'd it go? I, Matthew Buttermore,
I, Matthew Buttermore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
perform all the duties
of the office of
of the office of
police officer
police officer
according to the best
according to the best
of my ability.
of my ability.
I do further
I do further
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments
and to the government
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority
under the authority
of the people,
of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. And now at this time, oh, Chief? Sure.
Chief, you want to borrow the mic so we can hear?
Can everyone hear me?
No, put it.
All right, awesome. I'm new in this position, been a few months. This so far has been the absolute best part of my job. I've known John for 15 years.
Oh, we gotta do that.
He was a patrolman under me when I was a sergeant. He was a sergeant under me when I was a lieutenant. Now he gets to be a lieutenant under me when I'm a chief. It's amazing. Watching his career progress from a new cop for us, with previous law enforcement experience, up through now has been amazing. And then the void left by the lieutenant is now filled by our new officer, Buttermore, who's coming up. He's got great experience, great training from Asbury Park. I know some of the guys he worked with down there, and they spoke very highly of him. I'm very, very excited to have him join our little Highland Park family here. I hope we have a lot more days like this when we see people recognized for their actions and promoted up, and we get to hire more and more police officers to keep this town safe. Thank you all for being here. It's really important to all of us, and to these two. Thank you.
And Chief, I thought you were going to invite the officers and their family. There are some refreshments outside. Unfortunately, because of the amount of work that we have to do, we're going to continue on. But I want to invite anyone who would like to celebrate with our police department to please enjoy some cake and refreshments outside.
Mayor,
Yes.
before anyone leaves the room, we have to look at the agenda because they're not going to get anything because the council hasn't voted them in.
Oh! See, you got me so excited.
We need to vote them in.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Okay. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution to promote Sergeant John Satchow to lieutenant?
Motion?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin,
My pleasure, yes.
Councilman George,
Congratulations, yes.
Councilman Hale,
My pleasure. Congratulations. Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho Han,
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz,
Congratulations, yes.
Okay. And our new officer?
No, you just automatically get the wonderful honor of working with us. Okay, so please, enjoy the refreshments outside, and hopefully we'll catch up with you a little bit later, but we've got to continue with the work. Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. Got good guys from Asbury Park.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to continue with council reports. I'm going to start on my right tonight with Councilwoman Kim Cho-han.
In rec, our fall programming begins this month. With adult programming, our boys and girls youth soccer, the flag football, and our theater youth company. And also, just keep in mind that you can register online now for our programs at highlandparkrec.com. And also, if you qualify, your children qualify for free or reduced lunch, you also qualify for our fee assistance program. That's through the rec center. You can pick up more details over at our community center. Also, rec is hiring seasonal employees. So if you know anyone that's looking, they can apply online at hpborough.com. In senior services, our next Atlantic City trip will take place Monday, September 9th, and only a few spots remaining. Our fall luncheon at the community center will be held Tuesday, September 17th at noon, and our special brain health workshop and screening Friday, September 20th, 10 a.m. to noon. This is open and free to the public. And see our borough website, Facebook page, or contact the center for more information. Wednesday, September 25th, join us for Middlesex County Senior Walk at Roosevelt Park in Edison, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and transportation will be provided to all. And last but not least, I'm going to sign up for this one as well, as the fall course of AARP driver safety. It's a 2-part session. It will be held on Wednesday, September 25th and Wednesday, October 2nd. You must attend both sessions, and the reason I'm attending is because once you have that certificate, you can get a discount on your auto insurance. So although it's through AARP, I will be there for that discount because, as we all know, New Jersey has high auto insurance. And this is open to all, but you have to attend both sessions. Over in arts, access granted is going very smoothly. We have all the photos and preparing for our opening reception in November. The Band-Aid bench is almost finished, and we're doing the revealing presentation during Arts in the Parks. We are applying for another Middlesex Arts grant to support a spoken word workshop for February through April of 2020. And the Chalk Art Festival went very smoothly over at National Night Out, and plans are moving ahead for the mural project that was funded through the Park Partners on the Roberts Floral Building. And the Arts Commission is also preparing. They will have a booth at Arts in the Park, and I look forward to seeing you all there. And that's my report.
Stephanie, your Arts Commission is really doing a fantastic job with outdoor arts.
Thank you.
Councilman Hale.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a brief one tonight. Just wanted to recognize that later this week, the Board of Freeholders is going to recognize September is Hunger Action Month and celebrating the 25th anniversary of Mac Foods, which is the Middlesex County food program. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary. And in their effort to end hunger for more than 70,000 food insecure residents in Middlesex County. Later this month, on September 26th, they will be hosting a fundraising dinner for Mac Foods, along with Feeding Middlesex County. If you are interested and able to attend, you can go to find invitations at www.feedingmiddlesexcounty.org/25th anniversary gala. It's a great organization. Our own food pantry works very closely with them, and it's a great time to celebrate all of their great work. I would also like to congratulate Julie Castellano on her recent election as chair of the Highland Park Equity Commission, and Shaina Ward on her appointment to the Immigration and Refugee Committee. And then I'll just end again with saying thank you to Lieutenant Sachow and Officer Buttermark for joining our force. We very much appreciate them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. I have a few things. An update on redevelopment. Tomorrow evening in these chambers at 7 p.m., we'll be holding a neighborhood meeting on 134 Raritan Avenue. This is a development that we amended the redevelopment plan earlier this year, and this is a special info session that we're having for the neighbors. So we sent out special invitations for all the neighbors around Raritan Avenue on Park Place, which is the street behind them, and people on Magnolia as well. We distributed flyers to them, and while this is a courtesy, we are following up on a promise that we made earlier this year to invite those neighbors that are most affected by the redevelopment plan. So we'll have the developers there. They'll share some of their concepts and ideas and answer any questions. They don't have their final architectural drawings yet, but they have some sketches, and we fully expect them to come in front of the planning board to submit an application sometime before the end of the year. Also coming up in front of the planning board is 31 River Road. Earlier this year, we finalized a redevelopment plan, and this was the old medical building that's been since torn down. They submitted their application to the planning board, and the hearing will be at the next regularly scheduled planning board meeting, which is next Thursday, September 12 at 7:30 in this room. Somebody reminded me today, we're getting a lot of emails about a proposal, about a subdivision that was approved at the planning board last month, and that was on a property called Solop on Skyview Terrace. And if you have any questions, we can send to you the memorialization and what, the language that was in the document. And if you could just please email Jen Santiago at hpborough.com. She is the official secretary for the planning board, and she is here tonight. She's our deputy clerk as well. Also coming up on Tuesday, September 10 at 7:30, again here in this room, is our master plan community meeting. So we were required by state law to review our master plan, and that was due in 2019, so we're right on time and on schedule. And this is a meeting hosted by our borough planner to review with the audience, with our residents, what some of the key concepts are in the master plan. So please join us for that. Also, the Department of Consumer Affairs has awarded Highland Park a $25,000 grant for beautification and safety improvements for community event space. We will be erecting a pavilion on the northernmost end of the borough parking lot by the Main Street building. It'll be about 32 feet long by 12 feet wide, and the grant was, one of the grant requirements was that the borough needed to make a contribution. Well, our contribution to this plan is that we're finally getting around to repaving the farmers market lot, that whole big borough lot. So you may have seen, and I'm sorry, Phil, if you were going to speak about this, you may have seen some repaving already of borough properties. This is also in the plans, and then we'll be erecting the pavilion after that. And please, in September, actually, we have a lot of things coming up in September. So don't forget, our farmers market runs on Fridays from 11 a.m., and it runs through December. On September 27th, we'll be hosting a health festival there at the market, so please join us for that. On September 22nd is our amazing Arts in the Park from 11:30 to 4:30. It's on the Avenue. It is one of the rare juried art shows in the state of New Jersey. So the festival draws thousands of enthusiasts and visitors from around the entire region. And join us for the art, to view the art, to make purchases. There'll be live music, and of course, what's a festival without food? So please join us for that. And lastly, our townwide garage sale is the weekend of September 14th and 15th. You can still sign up for that. You could go to the Main Street website to see where to sign up for that. And if you'd like to sign up and be on the map to show that you're selling stuff, it's a great way to get noticed, and that people will come to your door and make your purchases and and buy your junk. And what's that? Treasures, yes, treasures. And we look forward to that every year. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin, do you have a report?
Yes, Mayor. This year, our National Night Out was moved several times, but it was postponed because of weather. But when we finally had it, we moved it up by the Irving School area. And I must say it was a great success. We saw a lot of Highland Park people come out to enjoy. And our police department was out there helping out, from serving ice cones to working out with the kids and doing all kind of activities. So our police department have been pretty busy these days. And National Night Out, I think, was a huge success because we had a lot of officers out and just engaging with the community, engaging with the kids in our community. So that was wonderful, and we look forward to another great one next year. Public safety tips, as we're all aware, the hurricane season is here, and we all need to be keeping ourselves safe. So please, this is a time when you should check your flashlights. You should make sure they have batteries. If you have medication, have them properly labeled, and also look into your pet safety. So in case we get hit by any kind of weather, that we here in Highland Park would be safe. And also, I noticed that on Facebook, our police department posted going out of town safety tip. And there's a form that you can fill out that's available on the website and on Facebook just to keep you safe. And if you choose to let them know that you're not going to be there, for them to give a ride around, I guess, and make sure that everyone is safe. We've been having some fires in town since this year. We've seen 3 major fires. And with that, we're going to be doing a fire education meeting throughout different communities. Please stay posted. We'll be sending that information out soon so everyone can be aware of what to do. In September, October, the fire department does go into the schools and they provide safety awareness to all students. But we want to take it a little bit further and also advise our residents and parents of what to do in case there is a fire in their apartment/home. And last but not least, I just want to keep in prayer the victims of all these horrific shootings across our country. And we need to get some strong gun laws and gun everything done to keep people safe, because it seems like it's every week there's a shooting and something must be done. We're in need of crossing guards. Anyone know anyone who's looking for a crossing guard job? We're hiring for crossing guards. So go to the borough website or go to the police department and fill an application out for anyone who may be interested in becoming a crossing guard. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Fine, do you have a report?
I do not have a report tonight, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Borough Attorney, do you have a report?
No report, Madam Mayor.
Council President, do you have a report?
I do, Mayor. Thank you. With regard to the Department of Public Works, you'll see on tonight's agenda, there are 2 ordinances on, and one repeals a ordinance in the approximate amount of $3 million, which was passed last year. If you will recall, we had been applying for an infrastructure bank. That's a state fund which supplies money to municipalities for major municipal projects. And at the time, we had actually met here with the director and several of the managers who indicated that we could apply for funding with regard to our water and sewer infrastructure. Subsequently, unfortunately, the fund did not grant us that, and therefore we no longer need this bond. We don't want to have that money committed under our municipal budgeting with the Department of Community Affairs. The second on the agenda for introduction tonight is for sewer infiltration and outflow testing, everything from repairs to retaining consultants and engineers to do repair work on our sewer system. Even this weekend, I was advised about a old, secret, and ancient 6-inch main under Raritan Avenue that goes nowhere, but it's still there. So there's a lot to be done there. So we are moving forward seriously with our water and sewer infrastructure issues. There are a number of road repairs which have been taking place. We have our monthly pothole report, which we'll keep up with at least till the season closes down on that. But most importantly, right now, the county will be doing work on Woodbridge Avenue with regard to some of the intersections and crossings to make them drain better, to make them a little bit safer. DPW came up with an idea that at Hilton, where the road is really bad, they're going to be working at that intersection for Woodbridge in the right-of-way, and for only $8,800, we can get the rest of Hilton from Woodbridge down to Labarchik to and repave that as well. So it was good work and a good catch by DPW. With the pothole repairs on the south side, the farmers market lot, the patching is done. The repair is going to be for the central section of the parking lot. You'll recall that we began using this year a new system of pothole and road repair prioritization, which uses a scoring system and a computer-based program that our DPW has been trained in, so that we're able to zero in on repairs a little bit more efficiently and cost effectively. So we did the farmers market lot on 3rd, Magnolia between 2nd and 3rd, and 4th and 5th, Benner between 7th to 9th. First Avenue's been done through Hill Street, 3rd Avenue to Harper, 4th to Harper, South 7th, repairs are done, Benner to Woodbridge, 8th to Magnolia, the Triangle, Cherry Street, a major problem with deterioration of the road, has been patched. Amherst and Woodbridge, Amherst at Harvard, Bernard and Woodbridge, Maryland, South 10th. On the north side, Denison 4th to 5th, Denison 3rd to 2nd, Madison and Lawrence, Lincoln, North 2nd, North 2nd to Madison. We also got North 4th at Madison to Wayne, and 3rd Denison to Montgomery. If anybody has any questions about any of that, please let us know so that we can follow up appropriately on them and make sure they got done right, and were no problems with them. I see that Tina Weishaus is here, so I'm assuming you're primed for your sustainable Highland Park moment, so I won't steal your thunder on that. Well, then I will steal your thunder for that, and I'll still invite you up, Tina. Very interesting meeting last week with the Sustainable Highland Park Committee, and Ms. Weishaus was on vacation. The youth members drove a lot of the meeting and did an excellent job. One of the projects, following up on our plastic bag project and using that as a model with the long-term outreach, test merchant areas, surveys and follow-up surveys, but on a smaller scale, because they are smaller, is the paper straw replacement. I notice around town already a number of merchants have switched, didn't even wait for the program, didn't wait for any debate, just quietly moved. Some of the members also noted that some of the members of my age, shall we say, remember when you didn't get plastic straws, you always got paper straws. And they used to have little flavors in them. If you could make your milk flavored, it was the most awful thing going. Also, the high school students reported on their branch of the project for Sustainable Highland Park regarding food waste. There are sharing tables. There are already one in place at the high school, Have applied for a grant through Sustainable New Jersey for refrigeration to make that more workable. And they've also had 3 meetings now, I believe it's 3 meetings, with the Board of Education about expanding into, at least into Bartle at this point in time. The Native Plant Sanctuary, which operates under Sustainable Highland Park and in partnership with STAC, has planted about 90 of the 140 native plants and shrubs that was purchased with their funding this year, and they've been cleaning out sections closer to the environmental center because the county, if you notice, has been doing a lot of substantial work on the main sewer lines on one of their properties. The county has been extremely cooperative in helping the volunteers out. I see them almost every Sunday morning, stop in while they're working. The county will actually be doing replanting and helping us with replanting the native species in the area. The Shade Tree Advisory Committee was very busy this summer. Along with tree inspections and monitoring the emerald ash borer problem of last year's fame, they took it upon themselves to take a look at the tree replacement ordinance because of a number of complaints about, not so much complaints, but confusion of how does it operate, what do we do, what do we need to do, so that they have reviewed the ordinance and come up with some suggestions. I reviewed those over the weekend, and they are now taking the next step, which is to finalize their discussions with borough officials and then bring it to the Public Works Committee with recommendations as to whether we should be amending the tree ordinance. The Environmental Commission discussed the changeover to our fleet vehicles for electric vehicles for the inspectors. There are 2 electric vehicles on slate for purchase, and also 2 police hybrid vehicles in the police department. And one of the first steps that they've been recommending for years, becoming more efficient and cost effective and making contributions to controlling the environment in our particular area. Finally, if you've been down to the Meadows Trail lately, you'll see that the volunteers are in process of erecting the boardwalk area, reopening the old trail that used to lead down to the riverfront area that they received a grant for rebuilding the boardwalk area across some of the marshy areas. Also noticed an uptick in photographers using the Meadows Trail area to take photographs, and a number of them have been posting online lately. They're finding it as to be very secluded and very, as the plantings that have been going on there are coming to fruition at the end of the summer, they're getting a lot of action from the artists and photographers. That's my report, Mayor.
And you have a new bench on the trail, right?
There's a new bench on the observation post, which is now operational. That was made by donation so that the funds were still available for the boardwalk and the signage as well. So the Meadows Trail is really coming along quite well.
Great, thank you. Borough Administrator, do you have a report?
Just a couple items to build on Councilwoman Welkowitz. I just wanted to mention the September 10th community meeting regarding our master plan update is actually over at the community center. So I just wanted to make sure you came to the right place. But it is at 7:30 on September 10th, and we encourage as many people to come as have interest in weighing in. The other thing I would mention, I'm very pleased, we launched an online survey because we recognize not everybody's going to come to a meeting. And to date, we have 250 respondents only after a few weeks, which is very encouraging. And they're actually thoughtful responses. But I also want to go further. I want to get more. And so I just wanted to read off the web address. It's publicinput.com/Highland Park. And you can find the link on our website, Facebook, you name it. But again, it's publicinput.com/Highland Park. Really appreciate the people who took the time. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes, but it's well worth it, and it'll give you a good sense of the kind of thought process we have going into the master plan. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Could you address the deer management? Just give them a quick update.
Nothing new. I'll just remind everybody, we were advised that the deer survey would have to, we had contracted, we had a deer drone survey. The analysis didn't happen, and the company went away. So we have to start again, and we have to wait until we see the leaves off the trees before we can conduct a new survey to get the data we need for that open meeting that we talked about. So that's still on track, but again, we're looking at October, November, when we can actually do the survey and get a report back and have some information to present.
And one other thing, Borough Administrator,
So what happens when you go away, you forget all the things you're supposed to report.
just remind everyone about we're back to regular hours here.
Yes, we are back, and just when I got used to summer hours, they're over. So now that this is a holiday week, so keep in mind, for those of us on the north side, tomorrow's your garbage pickup. If you missed, so yeah, today was recycling. Sorry if you missed that, but you have a chance to get garbage. We're back to regular borough business hours. Now you're going to make me remember them. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 to 4. Tuesdays, 8 to 6. Friday, 8 to 1. Okay?
Thank you very much. Okay. I just have a few things to go over. As you just heard, summer is over and the staff is back to regular hours, and we are very, very, very busy here, which is a great thing to see. Not that there was less busyness this year in the summer. It seemed like the summer was as busy as the fall usually is around the borough. I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, in 2020, we'll be gearing up for new census data. And so I want to encourage everyone to help us get the word out. It's extremely important that as many people as possible participate in the census that will be held in 2020. That's how funding is determined for many different things here in Highland Park, at the county level and at the state level. So you'll be hearing more and more about the census coming up, and I do hope that you will be able to help us get as many of your friends and neighbors to participate. Tuesday, September 26th, I am starting my first open hours in my office. I've been finding that lots of people want to come in and talk to me lately, and they're stopping by, and if I'm in a meeting, I can't talk with them. So I'm going to set up Tuesdays, not every Tuesday, but once a month, for a time block for folks to come in. To just come and ask me any questions you have. The hours are from 10:30 a.m. till 12:30 a.m. I know that doesn't work for some folks who are at work, but if you can step away from your desk from, let's say, 12 to 12:30, please feel free to call me, and my assistant, Harry Glazer, will start a queue of calls if that is necessary. So our first open hours meeting is Tuesday, September 26th. And speaking of open, we've scheduled our first monthly agendaless Ask the Mayor questions. That meeting is set up for this Thursday at 7 p.m. Usually when you get to talk with all of us, there's an agenda, and you don't always get to ask the questions that you have on your mind. The agendaless meeting will allow anyone to ask a question that we don't normally address for you. And if I don't have the answer, I will be sure to get back to you with whatever answers I can find for you. So the first meeting is Thursday at 7 p.m., and I believe it's also at the community center. All right, that's all I have, and at this point, we're going to enter the first public discussion. Now, I want to remind you that we have two public discussion sessions. The first one we're going into right now is only 15 minutes? Yeah, 15 minutes total, so each person gets to speak for 3 minutes. With the second session that we have is unlimited time, although I do try to keep people to 3 to 5 minutes so that everybody can talk.
Mayor, can I ask you not to run the clock on that, just to follow up? Councilwoman Welkowitz were just talking about this. Remember, we changed the bulk trash pickup from this past week to the week following the townwide yard sale on the
Good point.
14th and 15th. I want everybody to let you know, because there's always some wind up to getting stuff on the curb, which always makes driving around town really, really interesting. But at the same time, please remember and we've also laid out new schedules for that. We go for the whole week, so we cover everybody. So just a reminder, and I think it's very important because it does involve a little bit more than just taking your can to the curb.
Thank you.
The 17th is for the north side and triangle, and the 17th is for the north side and triangle, and the 19th is for the south side.
Oh, everyone, please speak closer to the microphone so.
Garbage collection.
Thank you.
The bulk pickup for the south side is Thursday, is that correct? Thursday, the 19th of September.
Okay. All right, so once again, this is a 15-minute period of open public comment, 3 minutes per person. Please state your name and address.
My name is Ira Mintz. I live at 143 North 5th Avenue. I want to start by congratulating the borough, the council, on hiring police officers with the cutest kids.
That's the number one priority.
Clearly. I'm here to support our borough council adopting a resolution condemning anti-Semitism, but to oppose aligning with the Trump administration and its characterization and its condemnation of supporters of the BDS movement as anti-Semitic. I'm an attorney. I'm the longtime leader of the I.L. Peretz Secular Jewish School and Community, and I'm a 32-year resident of our borough. I am not here to argue for or against BDS, the boycott, divestment, sanctions movement that's a nonviolent campaign to make Israel pay an economic and cultural price for its treatment of Palestinians. While there may be anti-Semites among some of the supporters of the Palestinian movement, they pose a far smaller threat to American Jews than right-wing white nationalism. Michelle Goldberg, opinion columnist for the New York Times, recently wrote a column entitled, "Anti-Zionism Isn't the Same as Anti-Semitism." Some members of our governmental body may disagree with her opinion, as may some members of the Jewish community. But it is not the role of our governmental officials to use their political power to condemn her speech or my speech or the speech of anyone else in our community. There are supporters of BDS who don't support a two-state solution in the Middle East, but neither does Benjamin Netanyahu, who just reaffirmed his intention to annex Jewish settlements in the West Bank. And neither do the Israeli supporters of Baruch Goldstein, who built a shrine to honor the man who murdered 29 Palestinian Muslim worshippers and wounded another 125. And neither do the members of the Israeli cabinet who call for the mass expulsion of Palestinians from Israel and the Palestinian territory. Opposing a two-state solution is not anti-Semitism. It is a view held by some Israelis and some Palestinians. Just last week, presidential candidate Bernie Sanders described Prime Minister Netanyahu's government as racist over its treatment of the Palestinians. There is much room for debate over Israeli politics and the rights of Palestinians and the rights of Israeli Jews, but none of that has anything to do with anti-Semitism in Highland Park and what should be our borough's commitment to protecting the rights and safety of its Jewish residents. We should be supporting free speech in our community, not siding with those on the right who pretend to champion free speech but then seek to silence the voices of those who advocate for the nonviolent BDS movement.
Excuse me, Ira, it's the 3 minutes.
3 minute mark.
So
Okay.
if you want to get back on the end of the line and.
I just want to end by just urging the council to adopt a unifying resolution condemning anti-Semitism and not to inject the complicated and divisive politics of BDS.
Thank you.
John Kovac, North 3rd Avenue. Why is it important to have an anti-BDS resolution in Highland Park? because BDS is a rank anti-Semitic movement founded by and entwined with terrorist organizations out to destroy Israel and presently out to spread its hate-filled lies in Highland Park. The British journalist Melanie Phillips defined anti-Semitism as a delusional hatred and fear of Jews, Judaism, or the Jewish people. It attributes characteristics to Jews applied to no other group, people, or cause. It proliferates an obsessional and unhinged narrative based entirely on lies, accusing Jews of crimes of which they are not only innocent but are the victims, holding them to standards expected of no one else, depicting them as global conspirators of unique malice and power. As Phillips points out, anti-Semitism, a defining feature of the Boycott Israel movement, possesses the same characteristics. It is not criticism of Israel's policies based on fact or reality, but a demonization, dehumanization, and delegitimation of Israel in order to destroy it. Here is just one of many examples. Ariel Gold, a Jewish Voice for Peace member, organized a visit by Intifada advocate Benjamin Tamimi to United States educational institutions, including an elementary school in Ithaca, New York. Tamimi, previously convicted in Israel of inciting Palestinian children to throw rocks at Israelis, urged 9-year-old students in Ithaca to become freedom fighters for Palestine. As reported by the website Legal Insurrection, Tamimi also promoted on Facebook the lie that Israel steals the organs of Palestinian children. Jewish Voice for Peace, the same organization demanding access to Highland Park toddlers, sponsored and promoted as exemplary a man who endangered the lives of Palestinian children while peddling the lie that Jews murder Palestinian children to steal their organs. What comes of incitement to throw rocks at Jews? Only last week, in yet another instance of an exploding increase of anti-Semitic hate crimes, a rabbi in New York nearly died after being struck by a large rock that split open his head, broke his nose, and knocked out his teeth. The JVP group presently strong-arming our town has been supported by the NGO Samidun, a terrorist-linked group. Such cooperation likely violates federal law. There is no free speech or other constitutional right that permits racketeering activity. The House of Representatives recently approved a BDS resolution by a vote of an anti-BDS resolution by a vote of 398 to 17.
Excuse me, Mr.
I'm almost done.
Okay, so we're at the 3 minutes, so please wrap it up.
I'm almost done. I have a paragraph in it. The resolution notes that BDS founder Omar Barghouti rejects the presence of a Jewish state in Palestine. The resolution condemns BDS intimidation and harassment of Israel supporters and the unjust imposition of collective guilt, mass punishment, and group isolation. We can do the same thing. We should do the same thing.
Thank you.
Hi, Sam Friedman, Lawrence Avenue. I'm a Jewish resident of this town. I have been for over 40 years. The sad thing is that he believes what he just said. And as a person who took part in the Southern Civil Rights Movement, I have heard this kind of self-righteous hatred before. It is the language that can create lynch mobs. Now, the Jewish people in this city are divided on this issue. That's self-evident after the discussions on the reading of P is for Palestine. This is not the circumstance where the Borough Council should inflame the disagreements. There is a problem of racism. There is a problem of anti-Semitism. The Jewish people and the decent people in this borough should unite to fight against racism and anti-Semitism. BDS is a nonviolent response to actions towards Palestinians that, if you just read the laws, declare them to be not full citizens of Israel. I have taken part in boycotts. I have boycotted southern towns that have been racist. I've boycotted South Africa, and I boycott Israel. It is a form of what Gandhi called satyagraha, which is essentially nonviolent love. It is not hatred. It is not violence. The Borough Council here should pass an ordinance against racism and anti-Semitism. The people I work with will be glad to do various actions against racism and anti-Semitism. But don't divide us by passing that kind of a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
Yeah, switching gears a little here. Larry Cohen, Humane Society of the United States, Fanwood, New Jersey. I was here 6 months ago to urge you to pass an ordinance prohibiting the retail sale of dogs in town. And I felt like I got a positive response, and I wanted to thank Councilwoman Welkowitz in particular for that. I've returned tonight to urge the entire council to follow through on this and get it passed. In doing so, you'll be taking a stand against government-sanctioned institutional animal cruelty, which affects our state, but which you do not have to be a party to. It's not unusual for towns to take action against things that for a very long time were considered harmless and are still legal. Most towns restrict smoking. Some are starting to restrict the use of plastic bags. Just because animal cruelty is legal on factory farms, why do you have to accept its results here? In a packet that was handed out to you, the first sheet lists the standards under which large-scale USDA licensed breeders are legally allowed to treat their animals. You have this. For any one of these on this list, you or I would be charged with animal cruelty. Yet the states where it happens and the federal government accept it as nothing more than a cost of doing business. And even though you'd think that bar couldn't be set any lower, the second sheet in your packet shows pet stores as a headline, and it's followed by a report that show pet stores to have done business with breeders who can't even maintain these pathetic standards. The offenses are documented, pervasive, and have been going on for a long time. And the state does nothing about it. But individual communities have. 127 just in New Jersey and counting. Now, when you have no store selling dogs to worry about, is the time to join them. The cause is just, the cost is non-existent, and the statement you would make would be powerful. The last sheet that you got is an example of how pet stores in New Jersey make news. They get laundered puppies from fake rescues in Iowa that are being sued by that state's attorney general. Not only do you not want your town in a position to have to deal with that, I would think you'd want to unequivocally say that this cruel, dying business model, which uses torture and death to produce a product readily available elsewhere, is something Highland Park is proud to take a public stand against. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I just thank you for coming again to reignite this. So I appreciate it. All right, thanks.
My name is Herb Gross, and I've listened to quite a few people that have come up here to speak about anti-Semitism. But I haven't heard one person come up here and speak to the American people about 4 congresswomen that are in Congress that are anti-American, anti-veteran, and they have to be taken out of office.
Mr. Gross, we're not going to have a political discussion at a conference, at a council meeting, because politics goes someplace else. So do you have something you want to say about Highland Park in particular, the walking you do or something with the veterans?
Well, why is it every time I come up here to speak, you interrupt me and say I can't speak, but everybody else here can speak?
Mr.
And I'm speaking about these 4 women that are in Congress.
Okay,
They have to be taken out of office.
okay.
They are anti-American.
Okay,
And that is not speaking out of turn.
thank you, Mr. Gross.
I don't need your thanks.
Okay, we're done with the first public discussion session, and we're going to move on to the rest of the agenda. Okay, Clerk, would you report on the introduction of a bond ordinance repealing bond ordinance number 18/1966 and 18/1967 and providing the replacement and rehabilitation of water mains, interconnections, and water meters for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
Bond ordinance repealing bond ordinance number 18-1966 and bond ordinance number 18-1967 finally adopted on September 4th, 2018, and providing for the replacement and rehabilitation of water mains, interconnections, and water meters in the Borough of Highland Park in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $3 million thereof from the water sewer utility of the borough and authorizing the issuance of 3 million bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof, has been duly introduced by the Finance Committee for consideration on passage on final reading.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading? First? I have first.
So move.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
And this, I think Councilmember Phil George is going to speak more on this one, but it deals with our aging water facility, our infrastructure for water, and how it is necessary for us to upgrade before we start seeing what's happening across the country without these water mains breaking, and we'll be in the same situation as many other towns. So it's a preventative measure. With that, I vote yes.
Councilman George?
I'd like to just add 2 brief comments on the vote. First of all, the title seems to read like we're repealing a bond ordinance and then providing for the replacement. Legally, we have to recite the name of the original ordinance, which was providing for the replacement. Second, I'd just like to add to my initial comments in my report that we are fully involved in the process of looking at the water metering along with the lines, the mains, and the laterals, as we've talked about over and over again the last 18 months, for the ability to recapture water that leaks, as well as recapture the cost of water which may pass through the mains. This repeal does not mean that we are abandoning that. We have actually moved significantly forward with planning on that. Thank you. I vote yes.
Councilman Hale?
I vote yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
Okay. Clerk, could you please report on introduction of bond ordinance providing for the inspection and survey of the sanitary sewer system for consideration of passage on first reading by title?
Bond ordinance providing for the inspection and survey of the sanitary sewer system in the Borough of Highland Park in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $320,000 therefore from the water sewer utility of the borough and authorizing the issuance of 320,000 bonds or notes to finance the cost thereof, has been duly introduced by the Finance Committee for consideration of passage on first reading by title.
May I have a motion to adopt or reject and advertise the ordinance on first reading by title?
Also move.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Again, yes, but I'm quite sure Councilmember George is going to give us a little bit more information about what this actually does. And it's to help our water facility and the cost of water here in town, to save on the cost of water. Yes.
Councilman George?
Just to follow up on this, as I indicated in my report, this is a first step bond ordinance to provide some initial funding not only for some repairs of some of the sewers that are, I can tell you from actually examining them, you can watch the water flow in. It's free water. It might be rainwater. It might be water leaking from a lateral that doesn't get built back. It ends up in the sewer. So it may fall from the sky free. That doesn't mean it's free when we have to process it through the utilities authority because it mingles in with the septic. This is a small step to begin. It provides for not only repairs but also for paying the engineers that might be required for the planning and so on. So I vote yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho Han?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
May I have a motion to adopt the following consent agenda items, 19 through 28?
So moved.
Second.
13, right?
13 through, yes. 13 through 28.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho Han?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
Yes.
I am appointing the following crossing guards: Catherine Chiorsian, Mary Ann Kinsey, Kibby May, Lucille Morris, Charlene Rayside, Deborah Riddick Smith, Beverly Robinson, Margaret Toman, Michael Stazeski, Luann Morgan, and Jacqueline Rhine. Public Information Commission: Shalice Saul. Commission on Immigrant and Refugee Affairs: Shana Ward. Recreation Advisory Committee: Sean Harrison. May I have a motion to confirm?
Motion?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Fine?
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin?
Yes.
Councilman George?
Yes.
Councilman Hale?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Cho Han?
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz?
I see some names on here on long-time Highland Parkers that grew up here. This is wonderful. So yes.
Okay, we're going to go into our second public discussion session. This one is not limited to 15 minutes. Please step up to the microphone, state your name and address.
Ruth Bickhart, 307 Magnolia. I would like to thank whoever the people were who finally, after at least 8 years, repaired the crosswalk on South 3rd Avenue on both sides. I wish they'd do the same thing on 4th Avenue now. I have a whole list of things. I brought you a sample on my way here. I guess it's a container for somebody's brace or teeth or what have you. On the sidewalk, walking here, I fill up a shopping bag of garbage in the morning when I take my dog out for a walk. Every place where there was a car parked, there was trash. Bags, candy, bottles, cigarette containers, and all kinds of other stuff. I can't understand what kind of people they are.
Yeah.
The new trash containers are going to be sitting on the streets because they're bulky, they're heavy, and when the people pick them up to empty them, they just put them against the curb. And in my house is empty by 8 o'clock in the morning because I have students who live upstairs. Next door, on both sides, there are students. it blocks parking. So I'm happy that I have a larger container, but I'm not sure that this was necessarily the best solution. Sidewalk repairs, that's the thorn in my side, both physically and emotionally. And either it is the property owner, that the ordinance is that the property owner must repair it, then it must be broadcast so people know it, and you gotta and enforce it. Because I broke my elbow, I'm gonna live with this damage for the rest of my life. I see other people falling or tripping. I see kids falling.
Mrs. Bickert, I hear you on that, and the council has a plan to do a new sidewalk program in 2020 that Council President Phil George is going to be working on with his Public Works Committee.
Well, I should live that long.
2020's, yeah, it's coming soon, sooner than we think.
Well, it's still another 5 months till then,
Yeah.
or 4. Yeah, the other thing is your tree ordinance. I didn't want a tree when, I don't know what, 10 years ago. There are trees that don't belong into a small residential municipality. We had last month where a branch broke off.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 houses on my side of the street were without power for a day and a half. And then we had to look and trip over some of the, whatever, where the branch lay, until they got around to cutting it up and getting rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to keep trees, and I love trees in my backyard, but I don't think they belong in such an active community.
So I want to let you know that if branches get entangled with wires, you need to reach out to PSE&G, because they will come and take care of those branches, so that you shouldn't. You mentioned you were out of
Well,
power
that was
for a
it.
while.
They came.
Oh, so my point is that the branch was probably in the way of the wires. So what I'm saying is, take a look at the trees, and if there's and this is for anybody, if there's a branch that sits on the wires, we need to reach out to PSE&G.
I don't think that was the case.
Okay.
I think the case was that the tree was dying, but the tree is higher than the ceiling.
Okay.
Let's see. Tell me what BDS stands for.
Boycott, divest, sanction.
Boycott?
Boycott, divest, sanction.
Okay, I think I'll stop there. But I think that you need to teach the children.
Speak into the microphone, Mrs. Bickard.
I think you need to start and teach the children as they go to school that anything that you don't want, whether that's an extra piece of paper or a candy or whatever it is, don't throw it in the street. I remember 80 years ago, more than that, of two young American students went to the Philippines for some reason or other, and one of them, I don't know, was it a cigarette stub or whatever it was. Anyway, a citizen saw that, grabbed him, took him to the police or the authorities. His punishment was public flogging. And I saw a picture of it. We didn't have a television set in those days. I don't advocate for the flogging part, but I think if we could tell it, maybe there would be an internal consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
What an inspiration that presentation was.
I'm sorry, I need you to state your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Aaron Todd. I've lived on Lawrence Avenue in Highland Park since 1974, and you got to believe I like the place. I even moved down that particular avenue to a new house, a different house, which I'd never thought anybody would do until I came to Highland Park and saw other people doing it, and I did it myself. So several weeks ago, I got very concerned about things happening in Highland Park and certain concerns that parents seem to have about their children and themselves in having a sense of fear and anxiety about things happening in Highland Park, connect with the library. And I started getting very concerned about this, as I said, and trying to get some kind of sense around this. And I must say, I do feel I'm at sea in some ways. This is a topic that is very fraught, and there's a lot of divisiveness about it. And so one of the things I did was to consult the collections of books in our public library. And one of the books I found around some of the issues that seemed to arise was a book called Trouble in the Tribe. And by the way, I just confirmed today that tribe is a real word. It has substance. I just read that word in a recent local newspaper. And the subtitle of this book is The American Jewish Conflict over Israel. The author is Dov Waxman. Very interesting author. One who worked at the college I taught in for a number of years and is now in Northeastern University. So it's a substantial book, with about a third of the book devoted to footnotes, except these are endnotes, expanding on the topics in the book itself. And of course, a copious set of references. I next found in a different institution in New Brunswick a book that's not directly associated with the sort of division and divisiveness that apparently is the case, but has a title that jumped out at me. The main title is The Righteous Mind. Now, I may not have said that clearly enough, so I'll repeat it. The Righteous Mind. And the subtitle was Why Good People Are Divided by Politics and Religion. The author is Jonathan Haidt, which I am trying to pronounce as Jonathan Haidt. And it's also an academic book with a copious endnotes. Now, I'm trying to learn, so I keep an open mind and try to read something else that somebody gave me as a loan. Our American Israel, The Story of an Entangled Alliance by Amy Kaplan. And it is also a book published by a university press. Now, I cannot possibly, and certainly not in the last case, because I haven't quite finished it, describe all the things that I find in this. But even though, in these books, even though I've read them fairly carefully, I do not feel completely comfortable in commenting about some of these issues. But I want to say, as clearly as I can, that, oh, by the way, I'm wearing a hat. I am a hat wearer. And I might think of myself as a hatter, but that's not quite the right term, although I do adjust the brim slightly and work on it.
and my head for the right tilt. I'm being a little sort of jokesy here, partly because I do feel uncomfortable commenting about something or things that I'm not necessarily directly involved in. So again, to end off, I feel I'm a hatter, but I certainly hope and do believe that I'm not a hater.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Betty Turok. I'm a decade-long resident at 343 North 4th Avenue. I'm also a professor emeritus and dean emeritus at Rutgers University School of Communication and Information. And finally, I am a past president of the American Library Association.
Betty, can I ask you to move the phone closer, microphone closer to you now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Better?
Yes,
Yes.
thank you.
Good. I rise to speak with you tonight about the support the Highland Public Library needs if it's to preserve its role as a vibrant community center. Less than 2 years ago, in a survey cited in the library's strategic plan, our townspeople showed that it valued the library by reporting, and I quote, "being proud that the Highland Park Library is my library, that all ages are in the community library together, that it has an appealing atmosphere, a welcoming and personable staff, and that the library is the center of Highland Park community life." The facts tell you that in the last year, our neighbors and friends visited the library close to 160,000 times, or approximately 66 an hour. The library circulated 154,000 items, or 10.6 per capita, well above the national average for communities of our size and libraries of our size, clearly making it a community center. And I'd like to just spend briefly a few minutes talking to you about the roles that the library plays in our community. There are four in particular that I'd like to speak to. The first is that we know our library as a community educational hub that champions literacy development through print and digital books, audio and visual programs, electronic databases, along with story times that begin for children 6 months to 24 months, and resources to support lifelong learning. But it's more than that. It's a center for civic engagement, where recently the Asian Pacific American Heritage Night was held to help us become more culturally competent as our nation becomes more culturally diverse. It's a cultural center that offers a highly regarded and well-attended poetry series, evenings with international films, and an art gallery that features the work of our local artists. It's a community center where we can take part in blood drives, blood pressure, and glucose screening. It's a digital center that provides Highland Park with its only free public access to computing and the internet. And with that, equitable access to digital information for our neighbors whose incomes might preclude having a computer in their homes. It creates the opportunity to retrieve and fill out job applications more and more important in our society because more and more businesses and government agencies are requiring people to file their applications online. It creates an opportunity to retrieve and fill out job applications. And it creates the opportunity to have access to job-seeking resources, a critical skill that guides us through the library to 5 million job openings, posts queries through its mobile app, and allows us all the chance to become more successful technology users by having informal points of assistance from a librarian. But in its role as a digital center, which research documents is a role widely assumed by libraries across the country, that's the area that it's most challenged. Our library is desperate to have more than the few computers it now possesses. If you were me and visited the Highland Park Public Library last week, you'd find among its few computers several covered with a blue tarp, above them a roof that's leaking and unrepaired. This coupled with a flatline budget over the last couple of years that's led to a reduction in its staff and decrease in its hours of operation. All of this causes concern for the library's ability to remain a viable community source. A flat line in a time of rising costs translates into a decrease in funding. For more than 50 years, when it moved into its first community-owned building, which, by the way, is the library it's still in, our library has been an essential center of Highland Park. Tonight, as this decade-long resident of Highland Park, I ask you, members of the Highland Park Borough Council, to protect and promote the library, funded by the community's taxpayers, so that it can contain and retain all of its roles as a vibrant hub in our dynamic community's life. I thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Okay, if there's no one else coming up to speak, oh, go ahead.
Two quick things. When you are going through the list of events, I noticed there was no mention of September 11th. As somebody who worked in the Trade Center and who understands what terrorism means, I think we should at least give it a moment's silence.
Thank you.
And secondly, listening to the wonderful words about the library, and I thank you for that. At the time when the controversy about P is for Palestine was going on, I went over to the library, and I'm somebody who's read poetry as part of their series, and they even have some of my books there. I asked the librarians, the children's librarian, to show me what they had on their shelves about Palestine and Israel. They had a lot on Israel. They had books there for children showing rejoicing over violence against Palestinians in a pro-Israeli mood. They had pictures of Israeli police violently arresting Palestinian women, once again, in a mode of praising it. There was not a single book from the other perspective. So when we have these discussions about Palestine and Israel, which seem to be endemic in this town lately, we should keep in mind that the people who are really having their reputations traduced, the people at real risk of violence in this country, particularly ever since 9/11, have been Palestinian and Arabian, and ever since 1619, black. We should always keep that in mind. Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
The books that you showed violence against Palestinian children, that was in the children's section?
It was not against children. It was against Palestinian people. And it was,
and that was
in the children's section for young children. We're not talking teenagers. We're talking books this thick. Yes.
So was
I'm
it
not saying that they should be removed. I'm just saying let's have a sense of balance.
I just want to understand, those books were for 5- and 6-year-olds?
I think so. I would interpret them that way. They might be 8-year-olds. I don't know. I'm not a librarian, unlike our friend here, so I can't tell you that. But certainly when my daughter went through the system here at 5 or 6 years old, she could have picked them up and read them, and she would have seen that kind of propaganda. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
May I comment?
You have to speak and just State your name and address, please.
I didn't catch the other gentleman's name and address.
Friedman something, I think it says.
I came here tonight just to get a
State your
feel.
name and address.
Oh, sorry. Deborah Lewiter, 150 Valentine. I came here tonight just to get a sense of what a borough council meeting was, because for the first time in nearly a decade, I'm free on a Tuesday evening. But hearing some of these comments, I feel compelled to present something other than glowing testimony about the library. The first of which, I come from a family where reading and learning, I'm a voracious reader. As a child, the biggest present I could be given was to be allowed to take out additional library books from my town's library under my mother's card as well. So it's a little concerning that when a couple of years ago, the Middlesex County Library Consortium had a big event celebrating, I believe, their 50th anniversary, and all of the libraries in the consortium, Highland Park is not a member. And no one could give me a reason why Highland Park is not a member of the Middlesex County Library Consortium. New Brunswick is, Edison is, Heights, everything in the county is a member. I don't know why Middlesex County, that we're not a member of that.
Have you ever gone to a board meeting to ask them that question?
I've never haven't been available on a Tuesday night for decades.
Oh, I don't know.
I've asked at the library, and nobody could give me a valid reason why they were not a member. They said, we're not.
Okay.
Okay, gathered that.
So I just want to try to get the date. Mr. Tucker is here. He's the president of the library board. What night of the week are the board meetings?
It's the third Monday of every month.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
so it's not
wasn't
a
aware of
Tuesday.
those, but I was just curious as to why that would be. Also, for all of the other folks who are saying about these allegedly propaganda type of book that is available at the Highland Park Library, I'm wondering if, I just have a really hard time saying that these books are there and that they would have had to been vetted if any of these folks had ever visited the land of Israel and seen actually what goes on there and how everybody is welcome in the hospitals, everyone is welcome to serve on the Supreme Court and in the cabinet. So I'm not going to make this a lengthy political debate, but if we're going to say that there are these books on the shelves, then if there's a concern for you, perhaps you ought to bring it to the librarian there and say, this is a concern to me, and perhaps we ought to reevaluate its positioning on the shelf. And books that are this thick targeted for children of age 5 and 6, when my children, maybe, again, they're much younger now, but much older now, but when they were 5 and 6, their books were much thinner.
So we have to, you can get online to speak if you like.
Just to make sure, to say that, are these things there? Or I could say, well, gee, I saw lots of things as well. And I just want to say that I have not found the library to be as welcoming. When my children were of age for the youth reading club, I went to register them because I was told you had to register them before 4 o'clock while the children's librarian was there. And I was told, well, you can't register them. The children have to be there in person. But my children are in school until 4 o'clock. And I was told, take them out of school so they can register for the reading club. That was not acceptable to me. So just saying that I'm not as huge a fan. I would like to be more a part of the library or say that this is something valuable to me, but I'm afraid that it is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to speak? No, okay. 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 All right. Seeing no other comment, may I have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss, I'm sorry. Okay. You're saying this.
We need to do this one first.
Executive session.
Resolution first.
Litigation.
I didn't know we have a resolution for adjourning to.
We have to do that before we finish
Okay. So I'm being told we have to do a resolution to, I'm sorry?
Just an oral resolution to adjourn to conference.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Okay. So may I have now I'm totally confused.
So moved.
So we want to move to go into executive session for litigation litigation with Capel and Highland Park. And I was going to ask for a motion.
Motion to adopt.
Or reject.
Oh, I'm saying a motion to.
Okay.
Oh,
Second.
okay.
Second. Okay. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fine,
Yes.
Councilwoman Foster Dublin,
And this is a motion to go into executive session, correct? Okay, yes.
Councilman George,
Yes.
Councilman Hale,
Yes.
Councilwoman Kim Chohan.
Yes.
Councilwoman Welkowitz.
Yes.
And then from that, after executive session, may I have a motion to adjourn to conference meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Is that a roll call? Okay. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Okay.